Let viewers see what Asumdue Park look like. This is how the frontage look like.
Yeah.
Just very ordinary.
This is wretched.
Very extremely wretched. Wow. Now look at this, Paul. At a point in time, we were using cement blocks
to hold it.
To hold it. This is the
former president.
This is the covering that John Mahama left on the tombstone. This horrible covering.
For the former president.
For the former president, the man who made you running mate, whose death you benefited from by becoming president that night. You buried him, and this is how you left his tombstone. To the extent that you people continue to sit down and let John Mahama and his boys play the victim as if I'm the bad person. Mr. Newman, after 12 years, I'm mentioning your name. Uncle Ato, after 12 years, I'm mentioning your name. Because I will not allow them to play the victim any longer as if I'm the bad person. I have always been the victim. But for the sake of cohesion, I have kept quiet. But after 12 years, I will mention the names. That the whole world knows that the victim that John Mahama is playing is fake.
Yeah, Mama Kwaba, but Cheche Studio so. And then you're the political season. It's the Kuchiba Bremen in the politics era piano. You be making sure so you're the baby now so what TB now they're too hopeful. Now baby I so to Abakono now they are called. Young Papa Koku Ayidowu ono na no ne game former president J.M. Mills Juma Ewa Castle. Wakansen bebre afa Young Papa John Dramani Mahama ho ebi fa Asumdue Park ho ebi fa after meals mono the world treaty no how horrible that Asumdue Park was and who the president of Ghana and Akufo-Addo ultimate fexman waka nsem bebre enye ni nyina na yebeti matchrem it's in the video ni bro so when tima good evening Ghana ni nyina nsi ya yi some SFs I credited good evening Ghana Paul Adomochre and the bremo na monsuma shebi now I won't say that no. What? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Cheche Studio.
By becoming president that night, you buried him. Talking about me and John Mahama. Why he and his people always try to play the victim as if I have issues with them. Let me tell you, Paul. President Mills died on 24th July. 26th July in the morning, around 6 a.m. I got a call from Okujetua Blakwa. Not that we were that close, but he calls to say, oh, I'm just checking on you. Okay. Well, I accept it. 2-3 minutes later, I get a call from Omani Boama. Omani Boama and Blakwa at the time were two sides of the same coin. Omani was very frontal that, well, Sami called you and he couldn't tell you what he should have told you. But anyway, yesterday, so which means 25th, the man died. The day after. We had a meeting with the new president, and a decision has been taken. He says he cannot work with you.
Oh, wow.
Yes. This is Omani Boama, an MPP boy who came through CJA.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, suddenly is calling me to tell me that the new president, and of course, subsequently the new president collapsed Information Ministry, added the communication and gave to him. Today he's collapsed the IT, added it to election directed and given to him. So Omani is his real right-hand man. So Omani says the president says that
he cannot work with you.
And that for obvious reasons, he cannot work with you.
What were those obvious reasons?
He didn't state.
You should know.
And that, I don't know.
But he says it's obvious.
It wasn't obvious to me. And that by close of day, I'll be informed. So I should consider some 3 parastatals that I'll be shifted to as either deputy CEO or CEO. But as for the castle, I should forget it. I can't stay there any longer. That's how the conversation ended. Of course, at the end of that day, I didn't get a call. Three days later, I drove to Mr. Atuahoy. And this is the first time I'm mentioning his name at Westlands.
His home.
His home. I got the same information. Oh, Koku, you know, Prof is dead. And John says he cannot work with you, so are you going to go back to the bank?
Wow.
Yeah.
After that
this number of years, go back to the bank. Uncle Atu, well, you know, this is what John is saying. Hey! Paul, when I left Uncle Atu's house that morning, and I didn't commit suicide. It is not in my DNA to come. Look, I couldn't believe it.
What did you tell Mercy?
The third one was Henry Martin Newman. Today I'm opening up.
Oh, the chief of staff.
Yes.
Your man.
Now,
your boss.
Between Atua Hoy and Obani, this was even before the burial of President Mills.
Yes, the date you are mentioning.
Before the burial. Martin Newman's own was after the burial.
What did he say?
The same message. And this was in his official bungalow at Cantonments, Chief of Staff bungalow.
Yeah, where Chief of Staff.
So he asked to see me and I went. The same story that, well, his own started that, well, Sani, you leave. Believe, you leave for some 6 weeks. By the time you come back, we shall consider your political future. Mr. Newman, I've never said this story, but after 12 years, to the extent that you people continue to sit down and let John Mahama and his boys play the victim as if I'm the bad person. Mr. Newman, after 12 years, I'm mentioning your name. Uncle Ato, after 12 years, I'm mentioning your name. Because I will not allow them to play the victim any longer as if I'm the bad person. I have always been the victim. But for the sake of cohesion, I have kept quiet. But after 12 years, I will mention the names. Then the whole world know that the victim that John Mahama is playing is fake. I am the real victim. So Martin Newman tells me that John Mahama says that he cannot work with me, so I should leave the presidency. At that point, I said, well, Omani has told me, Uncle Atu has told me, Martin Newman, you are telling me, please go and tell the president that I'm not going on leave and I'm not leaving the presidency because we have an election to win and I have to protect the legacy of President Mills.
You were defying the new president?
Well, he hadn't spoken to me.
You can't do that.
Oh, listen, let me finish. So that's how I responded. I said, I'm not going anywhere. However, I'm a very regimented person. And you are a lawyer and an astute administrator. When President Mills wanted to appoint me, he got you to write to me officially.
So write.
And
sack me.
So that when I leave the presidency and I step out and anybody asks me, Koku, why have you left? Because the whole ploy that go on leave it was a ploy. Immediately you leave, they will say you have left. You don't like John Mahama. That's after the death of President Mills, you have left. Now there's something I haven't told you. The day President Mills died, Paul. By the time I returned from the 37, my father, General Ayidowu, was seated in my office at the castle.
What did he tell you?
He had come to look for a son.
For what?
Who he knew that would be traumatized because of the death of his political father. He came, gave me his ties to whip on. But when he finished, you know what he told me? Koku, the president is going to be sworn, the new president is going to be sworn in tonight. You are not allowed to stay away from the swearing in. You will go to that swearing in. So gather yourself as a man and go to the swearing in. I know what I'm telling you as a father. Don't stay away from the swearing in. Paul, I obeyed my father and didn't stay away from the swearing in. Everything we could do to support John Mahama to take over. But after he got sworn in, this is what I had to go through. So I told Martin Newman to write.
Yes, did he write?
Of course, that letter never. You know, you are doing this job and people are giving you some epithet, the bull. So people think that Taflache bull ujibo. So they can, corner you. So
has the letter come till today?
The letter didn't come.
Till 2016?
It never came.
Why didn't you ask to see John Mahama himself?
As president?
Yes, why didn't you ask Omani that, okay, I hear you, but I would like to talk to President Mahama?
I mean, my position was that, to the extent that he himself hasn't told me anything, so me, I'll stay there and work. But of course.
You can't stay there and work.
So I stayed.
Okay.
And that is why after 2012 victory, they moved to the Flagstaff House. If you want to stay at the castle, stay there.
So you didn't go to the Flagstaff House?
Who was going to? I didn't even know they were going to move. I came to office one day. They had moved. So even as a remnant at the Flagstaff House, one afternoon, Valerie Sawyer sends me a message. About 3 p.m., the message came. I should make sure that by close of day, I pack out of the castle.
She as deputy chief of staff.
I don't know what post she was holding at the Flagstaff house. But you, Valerie, it was because of your father. Otherwise, in the Cuckoo Hill campaign itself, did you ever follow us on any campaign trail?
But that was her house.
Fine. So, President, this is how the frontage look like.
Yeah.
Just very ordinary and
Let's move on.
And drab. Let's move on. This is how the tombstone look like bare. But you see another side of the tombstone. So this is how it was.
This is Richard.
Very extremely. Let viewers see what Asumdue Park look like. This is how the frontage look like.
Yeah.
Just very ordinary and
Let's move on.
And drab. Let's move on. This is how the tombstone look like bare. But you see another side of the tombstone. So this is how it was.
This is Richard.
Very extremely wretched.
Wow.
Now look at this, Paul. At a point in time, we were using cement blocks
To hold it.
to hold it. This is the
former president.
This is the covering that John Mahama left on the tombstone. This horrible covering.
For the former president.
For the former president, the man who made you running mate, whose death you benefited from by becoming president that night. You buried him, and this is how you left his tombstone. I will go there every year with my people, Clarissa, Adolf, Sami, and co. Go and clean up the place and drape it in our green and white colors before we can even do 24th. This is how it is. Then let's see how it looks like now, after I begged Anado to do it. So this is what it looks like now.
Oh, this is nice.
This is what I begged Anado to do. When he gave me the opportunity to meet him in 2020, Koku, the question was direct. Koku, what can I do for you?
That's what the president asked you.
The president asked Koku, what can I do for you? This is a blank check.
Blank check. You could have said anything.
Ask for V8 and Prado and diplomatic passport.
Position.
You understand? I didn't ask for contract. I said, Your Excellency, I beg you, Asumdue Park, can you build it for me and for the nation? This is 2020. 2 years from now will be 2022. We shall remember 10 years of the passing of President Mills, whether you like it or not. And I said, if you don't do it, the politics that we do in this country, the people who didn't do it will turn around and say, they did it, and you came to destroy it. That's when he stood up and said, Koku, consider it done. Consider it done, then he gave the Koda, Coastal Development Authority, not me. Koda did everything. Paul, this was 2020. When the sword was being cut, Kofi Atamils, the son of the president, was present when the sword was being cut. So when Cadman and Sami, brothers, and inheritance is not about brothers, it's about sonship. So Kofi was there, the son, the only child. So we cut the sword construction. Now, fast forward 2022, when now the things are about to be commissioned. That's when they go and form this heritage movement. Quickly, overnight. Then Neil Lante and Samuel Atamos now go and hold a press conference. They look for all the rub, the koto rub, the akobam, alobam, or any painful substance put under their eyes and started weeping publicly that I have gone to dig up the grave and run away with the remains of President Mills. I've gone to give it to Akufo-Addo to go and perform rituals. Neil Lante, Van der Poel, and Samuel Attamils. That is what they did. Heinous crime, a heinous crime they've committed against me. All over the country and over the world, Koku, what have you done? Koku, what have you done? But the God who made Joseph prime minister when his brothers thought they were selling him, stood up for me. So now the Oton family calls me and they summon me. Why did you go and dig up the remains of our son? And I explained to them in detail that, please, it was that horrible wooden covering that the contractor was removing to create the new thing that you are seeing. The man, Koku, from today, with this our family staff and Rod, we will support and protect you to the very end. Now, what even made matters worse was that Cadman had arrived in the country, rushed to Cape Coast in political suit, put some cloth around his waist, and said he's Ebusia paying for something and are being family. And the Otwan people say, if you have gone to Cape Coast, we don't come from Cape Coast. Inti ezi bushapenya, ezi ni wo mami fi wo Cape Coast. President Muslim mami ofri Otwan na sifri Asaman.
Is Cadman and Mills on the same mother?
Oh!
Are they not the same mother?
That is where we are getting to now.
What is the story we are
The story is that if you Cadman, akozi bushapenya, wo mami ni fi wo Cape Coast. What's the President Mills ofri Otwan? Abazintina inche wo mami kroa. Ambezi bushapenya wo Otwan ebusham ekozi ebusha e wo Cape Coast.
Is Professor Mills a twin?
No, it's not a twin. That time is a surname. So their fathers, all right. I mean, they are paternal siblings.
But not maternal.
Oh, that's what we are hearing now.
Then they are not relatives.
Thank you.
In a can custom.
In a camp custom. That is what we are hearing. And I am not saying it. Can you believe that they actually made a representation to President Akufo-Addo not to come and commission the park?
Why?
After the man had built it all.
Why?
That they have issues with me. And the president told them that he will commission the park. He came that Sunday in the company of his vice president, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, with service commanders in their uniform, police band. I brought in the Achimota School Choir because I'm an alma mater. President Mills himself was an alma mater. John Mahama was invited. He didn't show up.
Are you serious?
Yes!
At the commission of Asumdue Park.
We had members of the diplomatic corps, other chiefs. Because
yeah, that's the story. NDC rejects invitation to inauguration of
thank you.
Renovated Asumdue Park.
And Frima, Madam Frima Pare, chief of staff, at 3-4 meetings, insisted, Koku, we appreciate how you have championed this cause, but because it's a government project, the president insists, I insist that the former president and the NDC will be invited. I said, no problem. But they invited them, they didn't come. And since 2022, that's what they do. They won't come for any official thing. Then they wait. They come and filibust and make noise. And in Kwasini Ferry and Ejuaremu. If I were some of them, I would never set foot at Asumdue Park. Yet they can go now, stand in it, and want to claim the glory. When they had no hand in the construction of that Asumdue Park. Yet I, Koku, the person who constructed it, I must be vilified. I will take no vilification any longer from this year. It's over.